Well, very pleased to have with us at the moment a coaching dynamic duo, Bill Belton and Christian Hackenberg. Guys, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having
us, Steve.
Hey, Bill, first of all, congratulations on the head coaching job that you have. When you get a job like this, some ideas run through your mind. What are some of the ideas that you have that you want to implement right away with your program?
Just being a tough, hard-nosed program, a disciplined team, guys that come to work every day, and just want to be coached and get better each day.
So where does Christian now fit into what you want to do?
Just being him, calling the offense, being a guy that, our quarterbacks can rely on, to get coached by and, get better day in and day out.
Christian, we've talked about you being coached up over the years by various individuals. What do you want to impart, especially to your quarterbacks, as to how you feel they need to be coached?
Well, I think that's kind of a unique question because, and I think Bill can attest to this, I try to approach it as not trying to stuff a square peg into a round hole. So it's not necessarily what I'm imparting into my quarterbacks. There's obviously techniques and philosophies that I believe in, but ultimately it's about putting them in the best situation to be successful. So that's going to vary year to year and guy to guy. So when we sit there and go through practice, a lot of it's about testing and seeing what in this case our guy does well this year. And then being able to scheme things up to his strengths. So
what, as in your position, Christian, what's the learning curve like on your personnel so that you understand what makes them tick or what makes an offense tick?
Yeah, I think, fortunately last year I got a chance to spend some time with the guys, and the one thing that Bill mentioned was just establishing a culture and understanding expectations when you step between the lines at Winslow. And he's done a great job of that so far. And I think that helps, when everyone knows what the level set is and what the thought process is. It's a jump on the ship or start swimming type of mentality. And a lot of these guys, all of them for the most part, have jumped on the ship and are ready to go in the right direction. So, that's kind of what I try to look at when I'm talking to kids and seeing how they do things, and obviously just spending time around them and being at practice and watching how guys move, what they do well, receivers, running backs, the whole nine. But just really seeing, again, just ultimately putting them in the best situation to be successful.
Bill, when I look at a guy like you played running back, you played wide receiver. Now you're in the head coaching job, which puts you, quote, in the CEO position. How do you like to approach that? Are you going to be more around the offense, more around the defense, more of both? How do you want to manage this?
Realistically, it's just, I got 3 babies now instead of 1. So you want to be there for all of them. And, show up for the defense, show up for the special teams, and, show up for offense, and, make sure that we're well-rounded as a unit in each area. So it's pretty much, not being too heavy on one side, but more so of, showing every phase of the game the amount of attention it needs.
When it comes time to game planning, all right, you trust the people you have in your staff. How important, though, will your input, Bill, as the head coach be in game planning?
Ultimately, I think we have guys in our program that, take pride in what they do. And, honestly, we have guys on staff that are very, very good at what they do. And, ultimately, I trust what they do, and we're all going to sit down and meet and discuss, the best way to approach things on a weekly basis. But realistically, I trust the guys that I have around me from, the offensive side of things, defensive side of things, special teams as well. So it'll be a collaborative effort across the board.
When you're playing, and this will be for both of you, you think about playing, you think about what your career could be along the way. When, for each of you, did the thought of coaching enter into it? Was it actually in school or was it after school? Bill, we'll start with you.
It was after school for me. we all envision of, playing football for a very, very long time. And, for me, my time was cut very, very short. And I was able to get back to my hometown and, kind of invest myself in that community and continue to, train guys and, see them get better on Saturdays and Friday nights. And once I saw that, they're taking the coaching and really building on it, that's when it clicked for me.
Christian, when did the thought start to come to you that it's somewhere down the road coaching might be something you'd want to do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it started a little bit earlier. Just being a quarterback in the position that I play, you have to learn a lot. And when you put so much time into learning defense and offense and, even offensive line techniques and how receivers run routes, being around a coaching family, I'd say real early for me, it got serious, I guess, when Bill called me because I was still trying to figure things out. And when he called me, that's when I was like, all right, I'll jump in on it. Because I've always been adamant about making sure it was a good situation and someone who I trusted and who trusted me, and we had mutual respect for one another. So it's worked out really well so far.
What have each of you learned about the profession that maybe you didn't know before? And I'll start with Christian. We'll go to Bill. What have you learned about yourself in this that maybe you didn't know before?
It's interesting. The one thing I talked about earlier with you before in the past was how pure high school football is. So that expectation kind of met it. But I guess when you're in it with these guys, like I said, really paying attention to all the details, usually as a quarterback, like you're handling what you have to do. But at the end of the day, you're also cognizant of the other things that are going on. But really having to dive in and be able to talk to all the different position groups, talk to all the different kids and hone in on what makes them click. So I think just that holistic approach, being approachable, being able to get points across to all different backgrounds and thought processes. I think that's been the coolest part for me.
And Bill, same question for you. What do you know about coaching now that maybe you just didn't realize or know before?
I wouldn't say it's something I didn't know. I didn't, realize the importance of it is just relating to each and every player on the team individually. I know as a coach, you usually, break things down as a group, but, every home is different. Every kid is different. Every personality is different. And just, finding ways to be able to get the most out of a kid, whether they're struggling or, they're doing great and, they need to go from good to great, or, guys are just, trying to find their way and find their niche in, high school football or in the classroom in that regard. And, when I got into coaching, that's when I really, really started to see the value of that. And, how much time you invest in these kids is very, very important.
Billy, you spent some time around Penn State. I think it was during some spring practice, and it may have been a couple of years ago. What did you pick up then that you're applying now, or maybe it was something that it confirmed to you that how it should be done?
Just the energy that's brought to practice each day, by the coaching staff. I know that's big. There's some days where, kids are dragging a bit and, sometimes they need to feed off or something. On that day, it may be the coaches, it may be another player, but, as a staff, you got to bring that juice every day because, ultimately these guys are looking to you to be leaders. And, if you don't got it, then, 9 times out of 10, they won't have it either.
So now this part of it, as you're going through it, now every season is going to be different. Every game will be different. The three of us know that. Everything takes on its own personality. And I'll start with Bill. What's fun about the job of coaching?
Just competing. I'm a big competitor.
Yes, you are.
I'm a big competitor, and it comes out in the game of football. Even if it's coaching, sometimes throughout the game, I get excited. And then even in practice, we're young enough where, kids still, mess with us a little bit about, being old and not being able to play. So there's times where we get out there and, we show them what's what and, who we are and stuff like that. But, overall, it's just been competitive in the game.
If they do bring up the fact that you guys are old and, you can't play, give me a call. since I was the since I was the witness. Okay, Christian, what about you? What's fun about this for you in doing it? You wake up every day, say, "Okay, I can't wait to see the kids."
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think what you hinted at is just the unpredictability of it. Bill mentioned the different variables. Every day you have to figure out a way how to connect and get something across. And then from an X's and O's standpoint, every week is going to be different, but you also have to find out, again, what you guys do well and make sure that you put them in situations to be successful there. So just the ebbs and flows, the yin and yang, the halftime adjustments, that's the stuff I really like to do. Just always try and be 2 steps ahead and thinking about how we can tie things together. So for me, fortunately, I just have to focus on one side of the ball and one position group for the most part. So just playing that game, it gives me a little bit of the game I used to play when I was actually pulling the trigger. So that's always fun.
And by the way, I was kidding Bill about being a competitor, which he really was. The quarterback was a really big-time competitor too, and if you're around practice, you know what I'm talking about. So Christian, something that I always had great respect for you was your ability to get on a whiteboard and break something down. I don't care if it was a protection or what somebody else was doing. Can you do that? I can't obviously get into your current players. That's a violation, but can you do that with a couple of your guys where you can say, hey, show me what you got here? Can you do that with them?
That's all part of it. You gotta toe that fine line of overloading them and then also giving them information that they can internalize, process, and then use. Right. So, unfortunately at the high school level, it's not like college where you're, when you're in training camp mode or even during the season, there's ample hours in the film room and on the whiteboard and being able to talk through things with the kids, both pre and post practice. You don't really have that luxury at high school. So you have to kind of dilute it a little bit at times and simplify it, which is fun. That's also another fun challenge is you may be able to say something very simply and fast and get to the point at a high level, but when you have to kind of knock it down a couple notches for someone to be able to take that information, process it, and actually apply it on the football field, that's a challenge. And there's some kids that can take it, there's some kids that can't, and I think Bill can talk about that. We went through that last year with our kid, and he grew throughout the year, and that side of his game and that part of his game also grew. But it's just some guys start differently and some guys have different likings to it. So that's another fun part, is just being able to impress that side of the game to people who can take it and run with it and actually apply it and still play fast and process. And because that's what you need. You don't want to bog someone's mind down. When you got a slow mind, you usually play slow too. So that's no good for anybody.
The two of you were two high priority, highly recruited student athletes. So in the process, what advice can you give to any of your players that eventually may get into that point where they have people wanting to recruit them? Bill, what advice would you give them? Because you're going to be a sounding board for them. So what will you tell them?
Since we've been there, there's a lot of experiences we can share with them, from, playing to, being a student, to the overall experience. I think, for them, it's just taking it one day at a time and just enjoying every second of their college experience. I know for myself, I didn't spend a lot of time dwelling on things that happened, whether they were, good or bad. You never want to dwell on the bad, but the good things that did transpire in my career, I really didn't dwell on them until I was done playing. And, in turn, you never get a chance to really, enjoy where you are and be present in the moment. Instead, you're kind of looking forward to, the next week or the next assignment that's due, or the next spring break, or, the next year in general. It's just all about being present in the moment and just enjoying your experience, because ultimately this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal.
Between the two of you, which one of you gets to yell at the officials?
I'm gonna say I'm the slow, steady Eddie guy, and Bill's got that covered.
And so, Bill, is it more of, excuse me, Mr. Official, or might there be a little more emotion than that?
No, I try to be polite. Ultimately, I don't, I don't want the game going the opposite way. So, I try to treat everybody with respect and stuff like that. So, it's Mr. Official.
Mm-hmm.
I figure when the fans are all sitting like, oh, good, they're talking about the officials because you guys went to quarterback club. That's all the questions you got. All right, so we're always the officials. Guys, what a pleasure. Congratulations to both of you. I follow every step of the way of what you guys are doing. And I know when Christian's up here, I spent some time with him. When Bill was at practice that day, I think we spent the entire practice together that day, that spring practice, Bill. So it is great to talk with both of you. Thanks a lot for your time, and we are anxious to find out how all of this goes for both of you.
Thanks for having us, Steve.